to the camera.
What do you like best about your job?
What do I like best about my job? Well, I am the pastor of New Life Lutheran Church, and so my job as the pastor involves many different things. And so what I like best is the variety. So that means that I don't just do one thing all day long, but I get to do a lot of different things, and conduct a worship service, or teach a Bible class, or have the green team, which is our kids group, or teach confirmation class, or baptize people. So I get to do a lot of different things, and so variety is the nice thing about my job. Okay?
If you could change one part of your job, what would it be and why?
Okay, if I could change one part of my job, I probably would change the fact that I am on call all the time. And that means that, people can call the pastor at any time, day or night. And so if somebody's sick in the hospital, then I would go and visit them. But always having to be on call, that's probably the thing I would change, because a lot of people have jobs where they start at 9 in the morning and they end at 5 o'clock, and they work 5 days during the week, and then they get the whole weekend to themselves. I don't have that, because I work on weekends and on Sundays too. So that would probably be the thing that I would change about my job, if I could change one thing, and that would be that I am on call all the time. And there's a lot of pressure with that, Truman. Okay? You could just put down, on call all the time. Or, on call. Okay, good. Is this a hard question, Truman? Is this a hard one? Is it an easy one? Oh, well, let's see what you got.
How did school help you prepare for your job?
Okay, so to be a pastor, I had to go to school a very, very long time. And so when I went to school, like in high school, I took classes like Latin and German. And then when I got to college, I took the classes that the Bible is written in, Greek and Hebrew. And so being able to work in those languages helps me study and teach the Bible. And then when I went to the seminary for 4 years, one of those years was called the vicar year. And that means that I was like a pastor's helper for a year, or an intern. And that was like on-the-job training. And so in many different ways, Truman, my schooling was very specialized to help get me ready to be a pastor. And when I was at the seminary, we even had a class on how to preach a sermon. And then we would write a sermon, and we would practice it in front of our classmates. And when you got done, then the classmates would say, I like this about the sermon, or I didn't like that about the sermon. And then the sermon would be videotaped so that I could watch it after it happened. And then I could say, oh yeah, I could have done better there. So in many different ways, my schooling helped me to get ready to be a pastor by training me to do the things pastors do. And especially the on-the-job training part was a very good thing. So maybe on-the-job training, you could put that down. And when I was at the seminary, I also went to local churches and worked on teaching confirmation class in those churches to help me get ready to do that as well. So on-the-job training, lots of on-the-job training. Okay?
When you were my age, who was your hero and why?
Oh, let's see. When I was your age, Truman, that was when the United States was sending astronauts to the moon. And so those astronauts were like my heroes because they got to go travel in a rocket and go to the moon and come back. And I thought that that was really, really neat to see that happen. So I guess you could say that my heroes were really the astronauts. I mean, I like sports too, and had a lot of favorite sports players too, but probably the astronauts. Yeah. Is this a hard question? What number are we on?
5.
5. Okay.
What is one piece of advice you would give to children my age?
Okay. Well, just one? How about 10? Just one? Okay. One piece of advice would be this. Make good use of your time. Okay? Because here's what I see in kids, and with especially high school kids, because sometimes I substitute teach, especially at the high school, but sometimes I substitute teach at middle school north, and when I'm there and I have lunch in the cafeteria, sometimes I see you there. But the big advice that I would give would be make good use of your time, because kids today often squander time. And, squandering time is like playing video games or things like that. That's fun and everything, but just think if you use that time to read a book, or when you get older you have a chance to do homework in school. Sometimes kids just waste their time instead of actually doing the work while they have a chance to do it. Or a good use of time, like when you're on the bus. How long does it take you to get to Spencer Loomis on the bus? An hour?
Probably like 15 minutes.
15 minutes. What happens on the bus? Probably a lot of talk. What if you had a book? You'd make good use of your time reading a book. So that, I guess, would be my big advice to kids today. Try to be good time managers and make better use of your time. Okay?
Why did you choose to be a pastor?
Why did I choose to be a pastor? Truman, when I went to college to be a pastor, there was a classmate of mine, and he wanted nothing more in life than to be a pastor. But it didn't work out. He quit school after one semester. When I went to school, I was kind of like, I'll see how this goes. See if I can do the schoolwork that's needed. And I'll just take it year by year. I guess you could say my grandpa was a pastor. My dad was a pastor. All my brothers and sisters became teachers. So I thought, maybe I should do something different with my life. And then as I got into the schooling and got a chance to do some pastor things, I realized that this would be a good thing, and so here we are almost 24 years later. Okay? Because Not a lot of people in life just do the same thing for 24 straight years. I guess I've done that. So I guess it wasn't like, oh, I really want to be a pastor. It was more like, I'll do the schooling, and then as I went along, I learned, oh yeah, this is a good thing, you know. It's a good thing. Kind of like you in school. Maybe you do classes, and all of a sudden you go, I really like science, or I really like math. Kind of find out as you go along. Okay? So, what are we going to put down for an answer for that one? What was the question again?
Why did you choose to be a pastor?
I chose to be a pastor because I wanted to serve God's people, and I found out as I went along that's something that I could do. Okay? Of course, I wanted to be a pastor to let people know about Jesus, and that Jesus is their Savior, and that would be another reason. Okay. What else you got for me?
How did Green Team start?
How did Green Team start? Green Team is a group at our church for kids. It's kind of like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. And in our church, we used to have something called Lutheran Pioneers. And originally, before we had our building here in Lake Zurich, our kids would go to Palatine, and we would have Lutheran Pioneers over in Palatine with those kids. And then when we got our own building here, we had our own Lutheran Pioneers, and then after a while we just said, well, let's change that to Green Team. And so that's kind of how that got started. And it's really, a nice organization that we have at our church. And Truman, I know that you come, and what do we do at Green Team? We make pine cars, yeah.
Rockets.
Make rocket racers.
And the boats.
Make the racing regattas. We learn about God's creation and how to take care of God's creation, right? Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, right? I like coming. So that's kind of how it got started. It started as Lutheran Pioneers. Any other questions? One more.
What other careers did you consider?
What other careers did I consider, like jobs? Well, Truman, when I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store called Harlow's Foods. And Harlow's Foods had a old full-service meat department. And so since I was tall and I could see over the top of that glass counter, I worked in the meat department. And so I learned how to grind hamburger, cut meat, make bratwurst. And so I thought for a while, maybe I could be a butcher and work in a meat department. So I kind of thought about doing that. And then I also thought, since I was dating a girl who was a farm girl, maybe I could be a farmer and work on a farm. And that would have been good. Do you know why? Because my last name is Bauer. Do you know what that means in German? Farmer. So then I could have lived up to my name. But those things didn't work out. So instead, I became a pastor. And of course, I always really wanted to be a pilot, but I wasn't very good at math, and you have to be very, very good at math to be an airplane pilot. So kind of thought about those things, but in the end, I became a pastor. Okay, are we done? Okay, I think our interview's done.